when it comes to that conflict, do you get a lot of messages from people who
I have
demand that you take a stand?
Yeah, why haven't you? And and they are pretty angry, and
that's low energy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very low energy, but it's like it's a terrible trend that you have to take sides and make up your mind for where you're standing, and it's like it's trending in some way. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think so.
But I wish they all were like having this protest for war in general, or in famine in general, or the situation of everything in general, not just focusing on one thing.
Yeah.
That would be like something to strive for and sit down strike for.
Agneta Sjödin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Anders.
I'm so happy that you're here.
Yeah, me too.
What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I'm going to do this in English, and that's a little bit different than I'm used to, but I hopefully I will manage.
It's going to be fine. Well, we recently got to know each other because of our mutual interest in spirituality and strive, to combine spirituality and science, and also the UFO phenomenon, and what else? Lost civilizations, all the good stuff. And I was on your show, and now you're on my show. So
and you will be in my show again.
Yeah. I just love this.
You're a man full of knowledge.
You're a woman full of knowledge. This is going to be fantastic. So before we dive a little bit more into your background and everything, just briefly, were you always interested in these kinds of topics when you grew up, or have you been a seeker? It's controversial to some to talk about these things.
But the spirituality has always been there, I think, because as a kid, small kid, my father put us to Sunday school.
Okay.
I don't know if they have that in England, but it's
I think
religious,
most people can relate to that, to understand what you're talking
Christian
about.
religious thing. So. But I think that was so sweet to go there as a small child to get the knowledge about something bigger than us on earth, and someone who is looking over and taking care of and holding you and supporting you, and all that came when I was a little girl. And so I remember when I was a teenager, because I never became like religious in that matter.
Got into Christianity?
No, but spiritual. And I think it's very interesting with the history in different religions, and I think it's a beautiful room to be in when it's in its most essential essence, when it's in the mystical realm, sort of. Then I love it. But for me, it was more spirituality. And I remember I was like in my teenage, and I remember I used to pray evening prayer, because my father taught me that. He's more the religious one. So I usually did the evening prayers. And I remember that I asked for the opportunity to serve. I wanted to serve in some matter. So it's like it's been with me like always.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And then I became, a teenager, and I started to play theater, sing in rock and roll band, and it was boys, a lot of boys, and
different interests.
It's completely different, in another total way.
Do you still pray?
Yeah, but in another way, it's more like a communication.
Do you think prayer and meditation is the same thing?
Yes,
basically?
I do. I think it is. It's because that is some kind of communication with the higher self and all that is sort of that intelligence that we all are part of.
Wonderful. So you started out, career-wise, now we come back to your childhood here, but career-wise, you started out as a television entertainer. Is that
Yes.
correct to say? And you've also been the show of morning news shows on television, right?
Different things. Like so television for 33 years, a little bit more.
33.
But yeah.
So would you say that would you describe or consider your career to have been one as a journalist or one as an entertainer? In that realm.
I'm not educated journalist, but I've written a lot of books.
I know.
I have all the skills and the interview technique and everything, but I never, I didn't finish school in that way. I always gone my own way. So I wanted to find my own way. That's always been very important for me. So, but I wouldn't say that I'm a journalist in the TV occupation, but I'm more of a journalist in my podcast and what I'm doing, because there's a lot of research and there's a lot of writing manuscripts and preparing interviews and things like that. So,
but you never been.
I can't claim the title, sort of, because I don't have a paper of.
Well, you don't. It's not a job that you need an education to have. Actually, it's not like not like being a doctor or anything like that. No, because then you have to have the education. But I mean, anybody can become a journalist, and there are tons of journalists out there at newspapers and in even in television. I think that don't have the formal education, but they're still good journalists.
That.
I think it's
educate yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, that's. I believe in that too. I think we're going to get there eventually in 100 years. But that I've been working as a news journalist for many years, and I have. I started questioning what we were actually doing. I think pretty early on, but it took some years for me to realize that this is probably not what I should be doing. But you've never been kind of into that. You've never been mired in that news journalism world.
No, mainstream.
When
there are rules,
consider what kind of what news to have in the show today. But when you were morning TV show host, maybe you.
Yes, but then I had a lot of. Then I could influence it from my own interests.
Okay.
That's lot. Nice. Yeah. But I stopped. I loved it. I loved the format, and I was popular, and they liked me, and I liked them, and everything was super. But I couldn't stand going up so early in the mornings.
Oh yeah, I know. You have to start at what is it, 3:30 or something?
Yeah, to get up at 4 at least.
Yeah.
And for me, it didn't suit me at all. Yeah. So that's why I stopped.
But I want to ask you about news, because I think that's important, even in the context of spirituality. Even, do you follow the news?
No.
And why is that?
Because it's the same all the time, and it's
nothing. What does it do? What does it do to you? Do you think?
It's like they are koka soppa på en spik, as we say in Sweden. No, it's the same. They recycle everything.
They rehash They rehash old news every day.
All the time, and it's doesn't give you any hope or anything. It doesn't, give me energy or hope. It's like a disaster world out there that I have to watch. So I haven't. In the beginning, it started like I just watched the news like once a day to just keep up the speed in what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just to be basically informed about what's going on out there.
But now I never.
Not even that.
Never.
Because you never miss anything big anyway, do you?
I will.
I mean, somehow you will know if there's a big thing happening.
I will. So someone will tell me. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same.
But today it's like everything. All the catastrophe, all the war, the terrible wars that is going on in the world now, it's like they are spreading all over the world. And you have to take stand and you have to decide which side you're on. It's like...
And that's a new thing, you think?
Yeah, it's more of it.
The polarization is new, maybe, that you have to...
It's spreading. And if you
have
don't...
an opinion about it.
If you don't have an opinion, if you don't take a stand for them or the other, you're like... you're being hanged out, in sort of.
Yeah.
that's really new, and it's
Hold
like,
out,
and it's so terrible. And I think it's like, so the war is not just in where it is at the epicenter. It's not just in that area. It's
in people's heads.
Yeah,
all over the
it's
world.
all over the world, and
that's, I think you're right, because I'm a bit of a nerd of statistics and things like that. So I follow trends, global trends, and I'm always a bit annoyed when people say that, oh, there are more this and that than ever in history, and I know that that's not true, because, for instance, when people talk about the wars, we have 2 big wars going on right now, two terrible big wars, but
that gets place in the media. But there are wars in other
yeah,
places.
there are other wars as well, but
and there are catastrophes, and
yeah, sure, of course,
famine, and a lot of.
Well, it's actually less than it used to be, but anyway, I think you're right that one thing that is different now from what it used to be is that we're so aware of what's happening all the time, 24/7. So that gives the impression that it's terrible all the time and everywhere, and everybody has to, as you say, take a stand and have an opinion about all these things. That, I mean, those things happened back in the 80s as well, in the 70s. We didn't have a clue. We didn't know, and we didn't care.
If you don't take a stand, you're getting sort of harassed as a public figure.
As a public figure, you
I get
notice
harassed
that more
if I don't take stand. I try to have sort of a spiritual account in my social media, where I just spread, beautiful picture of nature and my podcast, and
I think
send out some kind of hope.
So how does
no, it's like,
how does this happen? Do you get a lot of like messages? I mean, we can just
some.
We can mention the war that we're probably mostly talking about now, the Gaza-Israel war, and not saying anything about whose side is right or wrong, because I also do not want to go down that path.
No.
But when it comes to that conflict, do you get a lot of messages from people who demand that you take a stand?
Yeah, why haven't you? And and they are pretty angry, and
that's low energy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very low energy, but it's like if you, I don't know how to put it in English, but now it's like, it's sort of also that it's a terrible trend that you have to take sides and make up your mind for where you're standing, and it's like it's trending in some way. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think so.
But I wish they all were like having this protest for war in general, or in famine in general, or the situation of everything in general, not just focusing on one thing. That would be like something to strive for, and sit down strike for.
I agree, because I mean, if you take sides, if you take one side, what you're implying is that you're not against war.
No,
you're just against that other side. You have to be against the whole thing, of course. I mean, it's just so it's shocking, really, that we still, or I mean, humanity still engages in these kinds of conflicts.
And I don't know how many years we're gonna. I saw on Gaia, which I love.
I watch it too.
And I saw this Tim. He's a tactical advisor, German guy. I don't know his last name.
The secret Tim.
The secret Tim. When he was talking about the war in Orion that started up at like millions and millions of years ago, and it's peace now since some decades. So recent peace, but then when I hear about this war, it's like exactly when they started, because there was the Iguris, who is like the foundation, as a stamfader.
They
are the original, from where we then have the Greys, the Zeta Reticuli, and the Ebens, but from the beginning everyone were Iguris, sort of, and then the technology came in, so it was like a vattendelare.
A watershed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So some
two trajectories.
Exactly. So some of them wanted to just melt in together with technology, and someone wanted to just keep on doing the organic, go the organic way.
The way nature has intended.
Yes. So the one with the technology, they became the gray, and the organic ones, they became like the Zeta Reticula and the Ebens. And that started the conflict and started the war that's been going on for millions and millions of years. And it's very interesting that that's where we are. And it wasn't just a destructive war all the time, because it developed until it became more like a tactical war, like a chess game, sort of. But
it's a bit disconcerting to think that we are in for this for millions of years.
So that's why they are here, and they are worried. The Greys are a little bit worried because they don't want us to melt in together with AI. As much as they did, because they realized when they came up to like the sixth consciousness level, they realized that we can't get further than this because we lost the organic part. And that's very important, because you have to have something to live for, to feel this meaningfulness in life. And that would come from the organic way of life. So they are worried that we will take the AI into our bodies.
Transhumanism.
Yes, because there is a lot of things that are good with that AI technology, ultimate AI, which is very useful. But to take it in our bodies, that's what worries them. Yeah,
that's a very fascinating conversation to have. And I mean, everything you said about the ETs here is very far out to many. I think
because I just watched it, so that's why I'm there.
So but I think it's fascinating, and I'm not. I mean, who knows what's true about this?
I mean,
but it's just fascinating to think about it. And I mean, we don't know anything about how this Earth came about anyway, or
because
you have the universe.
The universe is like, is it 14 billion?
Yes? Well, it's a theory. It's not even that we're sure of. It looks as if there was a Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago when you measure it from three-dimensional perspective. When scientists on this planet measure it, it looks like that. But I mean, we nobody was there, so we can't say.
And even the Earth.
And now they have actually, I mean, they discover new things in the universe all the time, and I think the latest thing about that was that they realized that the universe is actually, well, first they thought it was starting to contract, and then they realized that no, it's expanding again, and now they realize that it has a different size than they used to think. So I mean, they discover new things all the time. So we don't have a clue about what happened.
No, we don't have a clue.
This is just a theory. And we learned this in school, that this is a fact, this is what happened. How can they tell children these things? It's ridiculous. We have to tell children that this is a theory. And I mean, when you grow up, maybe you come up with a better solution. So encourage children to question these things.
We have to be more open-minded, because there was a time when we thought the Milky Way was the only galaxy, and now it's like 2,000
I think it's
billions of galaxies outside. Yeah, it's like so
billions and billions.
We were sure 100 years ago of a lot of things that we can say that no, that was wrong. So that's why it's so important to have this open mind.
I know. Yeah, well, that's a sidetrack. But why did I start talking about this? Yeah, the AI thing and transhumanism. It's very interesting that this is happening now, and maybe we are at the watershed moment, as you were talking about here, because many people actually, for real, think that this is a very, very good thing, that we can implant things into our bodies, and all these people are, of course, they have good intentions, but they're not spiritual, or they have. I think there are people who are. I think they're closed in some way. I mean, I don't want to be patronizing or anything, but I think they're closed-minded in some respects, because they don't see that we have this technology within us. The biological or the spiritual technology is already there. It's been dormant, I think. I mean, I think, for instance, the DNA, which is very little utilized in our bodies today.
Amazing thing.
They call it junk DNA. These 90% that are not in use, which is, I mean, that's ridiculous. Of course, it's not junk DNA. It's just something that we probably could use if we knew how to do it. So why not evolve naturally instead of utilizing all these kinds of external technology to enhance our bodies?
That's what the Zeta Reticuli wants us to do.
Yeah.
And probably the Ebens as well, because they are not only in the constellation of Orion where they had this war, but this was a terrible war. Obviously, it was terrible after what he's telling Tim.
Yeah.
But there have been other places in the universe as well with the same story that, with the technology and the AI.
That's fascinating.
It's possible. I mean, it sounds like a fairy tale and science fiction, absolutely, and it's hard to grasp from a 3D level. But I mean, when we're talking about the size of the universe and the age and of the universe and all possibilities, then it's like, well, we are not the only ones in this.
No,
universe.
it's out of the question that we are the only entity.
We are so small. Have you seen? You've seen those films, and you see our sun in comparison to like Betelgeuse in the constellation of Orion. It's like a dust particle in the comparison. So it's so.
I think we're both huge and small at the same time.
Yes,
we're just part of a continuum. I think we are all. It all goes together from the smallest particle, which is not a particle; it's just energy.
Yes.
I know you've written about this in your book, even, and up to the biggest galaxies. It's all one continuum, and we are on that continuum.
Yeah, it's like spiral more than linear.
And we are in contact with the big things as well as the small things.
Yeah, and we're all part of it.
And we're all part of it. So we're small, yes, but we're also everything.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't just be so depressed to think that we're nothing.
No, we're a big part of it.
That's not what you mean.
So that's why they're also observing us a lot, because they are very interested in us, and they've been here observing us a long time. And because we have something that the Greys, they missed it. They have to start over again, sort of. And we have a lot of this natural living part and the spirituality and the feelings and everything in another way.
So they're jealous of that.
Yes, and they are. Yeah, I don't know. We are unique. Earth and the humans on Earth are unique in this universe.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard.
Yeah,
maybe because we're in the beginning and they're further away, and they looking back and learning.
This three-dimensional reality, this physical reality, is really hard.
Yes.
To live in.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Tell me about it. So maybe that's also why this is a very interesting school that we're in, or an interesting experiment, because
we better enjoy the ride.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we could talk about AI for hours as well. Maybe,
you want to talk about something else?
Yeah, maybe we can. I mean, we can sit here for hours, but I want to kind of switch over to, or segue over to the spiritual stuff here, inner growth. I read your book. I mean, you've written several books. Fantastic. And I just read your book that I think was the latest one. It's called in Swedish Våga välja nya vägar.
Yes.
Dare to choose new paths in English, perhaps. But it's not translated, is it?
No.
But it would be something like that. Dare to choose new paths. And it's a wonderful book. It's full of wisdom, and it's so fascinating because you touch on so many, aspects of life. And you have so many references and so many examples that I use myself all the time as well.
Yeah,
so I was smiling.
We're alike in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was great. And it's about, how would you describe it? It's about growing as a human, embarking on an inner journey.
Yeah.
And how to do that.
Raise consciousness. Yeah.
You talk about childhood insecurities. You talk about seeking purpose in life. You talk about finding one's essence and what a human being really is.
I think that's important to have this feeling of purpose, to find your higher purpose.
So how far would you say that you've come on your journey?
I think that what I'm doing now, sometimes I wish I've started earlier with it, because it's so, you get so comfortable when you work with television and you get the jobs, and they just call you and you get a job and you go do it, and then you continue. Everyone else is controlling everything around you.
It's comfortable.
It's very comfortable. But when I started the podcast and now building...
When was that? Sorry.
It's like 3.5 maybe year ago.
Okay.
Maybe 4, almost 4 years ago.
So at the beginning of the pandemic?
Yeah. 3.5, let's say 3.5.
Yeah.
But and then starting up this YouTube channel, which I do with a friend of mine who is a photographer. It's also like, I should have done this earlier, because it's such a freedom. It's not a lot of money in the beginning, because it costs you more than you earn in the beginning. Hopefully along the run you will at least get back what you paid.
Yes.
But it's the freedom of telling your own story and to share something with the listeners or the viewers that actually can give them something, give them some kind of knowledge, some kind of hope, some kind of inner warmth and nice feeling. And I like that. So my higher purpose in that case, that's like spreading this spirituality and some kind of knowledge of that we are a part of something bigger.
Yeah.
So when you find the higher purpose, it's like it's easier to live. You do everything else as normal. It's not like when you get raised in your consciousness, it's not like all the daily worries just disappear.
No, you don't sit with your legs crossed in a cave like a monk or something.
No, it's like the Zen Buddhist saying that before enlightenment you chop wood and bring water. After enlightenment you chop wood and bring water. It's exactly the same,
Yeah.
So you have the same kind of worries, but you're still on another. You're looking on things from another level, like an eagle.
So the different perspective, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And so, you do the same things, but there's this concept of suffering, pain and suffering. And you write about that in the book, and I also often bring up that metaphor. It's not a metaphor, it's an example of to pinpoint what this is about, because we all know what suffering is and we know what pain is, and this life it contains pain. Of course, once in a while you experience pain, but suffering is actually when you linger on the pain, which you don't have to do, but many people do that, and they tend to, we all know about this, linger on old memories, old wounds from childhood, and all kinds of stuff, and even linger on ideas about what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next year, and worry about that, which is, all of those things are unreal because it's not happening now.
Exactly.
It's not real, so but you still linger on it. So then you suffer. But the pain is transitional, and it passes quickly.
Exactly.
And it's painful when you have it, but then it's gone. So then I think that's a big part of awakening, or whatever you want to call it, that you don't need to suffer. You realize that you don't need to suffer ever, actually. And it's a strange feeling.
It's a strange thing also to tell people that hasn't, the knowledge about that. They would think you're absolutely stupid.
I know.
How can I not
suffer?
Who
are you to tell me
how
not
can
to
I
suffer?
Not suffer when the world looks like it does?
That's what they say.
I have to suffer. If the world looks like this, then I have to suffer, because it would be terrible if I didn't suffer.
Yeah, it's callous not to suffer.
Yeah.
But who do you help by suffering?
Yeah.
Nobody.
No one. No.
You have to start by helping yourself first, and then you can help others.
And it's also very interesting. I was thinking about this on my morning walk the other day, that people that get me out of balance, that disturb me in some way in their manners or in their, energy, and so people and things. And I realized that I have to do a list of all those people and things, and I have to, because they own me.
Yeah.
So if I get troubled by this person posting a thing or doing something on social media and it gets to me, she owns me.
You give the power to her. You give her power over you.
Yeah.
If you get angry with what she's saying to you, or if you think that it has anything to do with you.
She's just keeping on with her daily life, or an ex or whatever, So that's very important to be on top of things like that, because you give your energy away to so much that doesn't really change anything. It doesn't change anything for me going around being mad and disturbed by someone.
No, I totally agree. But it's, I mean, we're humans, so
yes,
it happens sometimes. But
we have to be aware of this, so that we can get back to our true self,
But I think it a difference in my life. You can tell how it's been changing for you, but is that when these things happen, they pass more quickly.
Yes.
I mean, of course, I get angry sometimes, but not very seldom, actually. Very seldom nowadays. But it happens, or I can be frustrated or nervous or afraid or something. But it passes, because I have learned to be aware of when it's happening, and be aware of this is a feeling that I'm having, and looking at it, kind of putting it in your hands and looking at it like this. Okay, I know that you need to be felt right now. Okay, so I sit with it and let it pass through. And it sounds like I'm a guru or something, but I try to do this, and it often works, actually. It passes.
You are a guru. I talked with Deepak Chopra, and I told him that this was like 25 years ago, and I told him, people here in Sweden, in the newspaper, they've been writing about that you are my guru. And he said, how do you spell that? G-U-R-U. Yes, G-U-R-U.
Wow.
So you are a guru, Anders. Everyone's a guru.
That's cool.
Their own guru.
I never heard that.
No, it's brilliant, isn't it?
G-U-R-U. That's
but
good.
Do you remember the old Anders before you started this inner journey?
Interesting question. I don't know. I don't think so much about the past.
No, but do you see a big difference?
There is a difference.
In the mind, the shift of the mind the shift.
Yeah, there is a difference in the way that I approach things, and so on. But I mean, the essence of me is the same. I mean, it's my soul or spirit or whatever. It's been the same. Of course.
You're getting more and more who you really are.
Yes, exactly. I think
growing into that,
I'm kind of peeling off layers. That's what's happening. I'm not adding anything. I'm taking away things.
Exactly.
So I'm taking away, peeling off fear and nervousness and anger and things like that. I've never been an angry person, but I was nervous a lot when I was younger, at work and also in relationships, and I was worried that I was going to do something wrong.
Jesus, you're such a cool looking man. When I see you, you look so cool. Yeah. But then I realized that this guy is also just a little boy.
Yeah, I'm a little boy.
Insecure and,
deep inside there.
And that's so strange, People look at you from the outside and they see something, like... And then underneath all that, it's just this little child.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to talk about me today, but I kind of resonate with what you said about your own childhood there, because I had also all along I've had this sense that we're more than our physical bodies, that there is something else. And I remember from when I was little that it was a realization that I couldn't really talk about with many of my friends. I kind of sensed that they wouldn't understand what I was talking about. I might have tried it sometimes, but they would look at me, what are you talking about? So I didn't do that.
No.
Anyway, so this book was amazing. I loved it. And it's also a lot about relationships, which is, I mean, I know that many magazines and media outlets, they're interested in the specific relationships that you've had, but this is not that kind of interview. So we're not going to go down that path. But relationships are, of course, important, even in the spiritual context. It's an integral part of an inner journey if you want to have a full human experience. And there is, of course, the crucial term love here. And but so I want to talk a little bit about how you see love and what that is, because there are different layers here. You have the big, huge, unconditional love that is the creative force in the universe, and then you have love for your friends and your family, and all the way down to, I shouldn't say down to, but to the romantic love that is what most people talk about when they talk about love. So there's the whole spectrum. Maybe it's a pity that we don't have more words for this.
Yes. Yeah.
Because love is everything.
Yeah, it is.
How do you?
But we live more in fear than love on this planet.
And that's the opposite.
Worry
energy.
and fear is like the main thing in people's life. It feels like even if you fall in love, you instantly start to worry about.
What if he leaves me?
What if he leaves me, or if I lose her, or will she like me if I'm like this? And do I look fat in this?
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like we have such a long way to go to get to this, just relaxing, loving realm, where we just like dancing around and feel free and happy and just see each other for who we are and just experience and enjoying life. Sometimes it feels like it's so far away.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The relationship part, it's been a struggle, but I also have like 6 or 7 planets in my 7th house. So, and that's the relationship house for those who know astrology.
Yes, now we're into astrology, people.
Now we're into astrology, from the grace to astrology. Yeah. No, but so that's no wonder maybe why relationship has been my big focus in this life. I have something to learn.
Something to learn, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of karma to take care of and something to learn when it comes to relationships. So, yeah, for recent years, I've been mostly on my own when we talk about this romantic love. So, because I put so much passion into my higher purpose, my podcast and this YouTube channel. So I meet so many lovely and wonderful people and women. And that's also very wonderful to meet all these beautiful women out there, and I think that's also time for that now, for the women to step forward to be in another kind of power, not the feminine angry power, but the another kind of, not angry, just the power of the feminine. And it's so beautiful because I feel it and I see it in a different way. And I also see men that carries this feminine power in a beautiful way. So that's a shift that I like. And hopefully, of course, I want to meet someone and share, experience together with. But that will probably happen when it happens. It's just, it's hard, to...
It's probably,
when you find a higher purpose, that's the focus sort of. And I think you're in the same situation. You have also a higher purpose.
Yeah, I believe I do. I'm not sure that I've found exactly my higher purpose, but much like you describe it here, I have felt much not inner peace perhaps, but inner ease, or an ease in life in general, once I quit my job at this newspaper and started doing these things that I want to do. That I just had an epiphany, realized that I want to have interesting conversations with interesting people that I want to talk to, and not that my boss tells me that I should interview or so. I just want to meet.
That's a big step to take.
It is, and I did it, and it's fantastic. I mean, as you say, it's difficult to make a living on just this thing, but I do other things as well. But I think that most of the stuff that I do now are things that I enjoy doing. And I try to affirm this also on an almost daily basis, that I can make a living on doing what I love and what where my passion is. And I mean, generally, I think it is like that now. So life is fantastic. But I mean, there are highs and lows, and
yes,
some days are better than others. Some days are not perfect, but I never actually dip very far down these days. Have you had those kinds of experiences, like Dark Night of the Soul type of periods?
Of course I have, and they come and go. And I'm also a woman, you know, with hormones and all this struggle. So sometimes you don't know why you feel like you do. It can be chemical in the body, something. But
or the chemical might be just an expression of what's happening on the spiritual level. It's the physical expression of that thing. I don't know.
But it's of course, I have those days where I feel like, oh, what have I done? Oh, my decisions in life has been wrong. Or I am no one. What will happen with my future? This is hopeless. I have those days as well. But I think, sometimes, but they are not. They are short periods because I'm good at reminding myself of. Yeah, I'm good at loving myself. I have a deep self-love in a totally new way than I had just like a year ago. I've had it a year ago as well, but it's like it's been increasing.
You've been nurturing that.
Yeah, and it's strong. It's getting stronger and stronger, and that's amazing.
The irony or the sad thing about it, as you said, most people are in fear and worry all the time, is that if you just realize that everybody is walking around having these feelings and feeling not good enough and thinking, which is a stupid thought, that everybody else is doing better than me, which is not possible.
No,
you have to just think about it for a few seconds. You realize that that's ridiculous. But it's so difficult to just land there and be in that state and just realize that we're just two human beings with basically the same conditions here.
Everyone has their inner child running around trying to be, get the attention.
And most people don't want to harm you. I mean, there are maybe a few, I don't know, per thousand that are psychopaths that you should be very careful with. But most people aren't psychopaths.
No.
Most people are nice and kind and they don't want to harm you. So what are you afraid of? I mean, I'm talking to myself here now. Pep talk to myself. So do you think that we are afraid of, sadly enough, of nurturing these specific masculine and feminine energies that you were talking about? Because I think many people misunderstand what this is.
Yes, I had a recent episode in my podcast about this because I think it's very interesting to see. This is new to me, what you grew up with. If your mother were like more in the masculine power and your father maybe more in the feminine, they are imbalanced. So if you grew up in this imbalanced relationships, you end up, yourself to be like, if your father has a imbalance between masculine and feminine, he's more in the feminine energy, you have to step up and, okay, he can't take care of me, so now I have to step up and be more in the masculine energy, so I have to take responsible here now. And a lot of women end up like that in relationships, because they go in too much in the masculine energy because the man are in imbalance in their own masculinity. So we see this all over the world, and you to make a career as a woman before, today I hope it's getting different, but before you had to play it on the same part as the man did. You had to take up your sleeves and do the hard work and be pretty hard, I hope that will change a lot.
So gender equality, the fight for gender equality, has it been misinterpreted or misrepresented?
Yes, really. And I hope that will change. And also the age thing in Sweden, we have this, discrimination with people that's getting older. I think it's more common in Sweden than in other countries.
I think so too, or at least, or maybe it's a Northern European thing.
It's terrible.
In the United States, it's not like that. Not exactly, at least, I think. I mean, look at the guys, the people who are running for president.
Yeah. They can hardly walk.
They can hardly walk. So that's maybe a little stretch it a little bit too far, perhaps. But
yeah, but I like.
But here, like you say,
like
once you turn 50, you're not useful.
No, yeah.
I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but
yeah, I hope you are, because I'm turning 57 now.
Yeah,
but
I'm even older than that.
Oh
so.
God, is that possible?
God, yeah.
But you know,
yeah,
then
90.
you start.
You can't tell, can you?
Then you start your podcast, and you start your own YouTube channel, and you know.
Yeah, but it feels like I'm getting younger, actually.
Yes,
younger
exactly.
now than I was 5 years ago.
And we have responsibility. We have a lot to share.
Yeah. Do you believe in soulmates and twin flames?
Well,
or is that just a thing in the
I think it's a
community?
beautiful thought, and yeah, I would say I believe, because it's nice to believe in beautiful things, but I haven't like experienced it.
Or maybe it's not so beautiful, because I hear that twin flame relationships can be very painful.
Yes, yeah, they are challenging. Yeah, but I feel like I'm very connected to my daughter, so maybe it doesn't have to be like a romantic thing.
Right, but then you are perhaps more like soulmates.
Yeah.
She's part of your soul tribe, if you might call it that. So what's consciousness to you?
That's the intelligence of like everything. So, and we are all a part of this intelligent consciousness. We all a part of that.
Is it God? Do you use that word?
But I don't use that word a lot, but some people call it God, and for me it's like divine, more like a divine consciousness, a divine love consciousness, sort of.
But so is it the same thing as a soul, or is a soul a subdivision of?
Yeah, the soul is a part of it. And we're all a part of it, so it's like nothing ever dies. It's just melting back to its original state. So, this is so complex.
Yeah. Do you ponder it a lot? Do you think a lot about it? How things work, or do you just?
I would love to, get the picture of everything, how it works.
I think it's not possible to put it in words, actually.
No.
But we try.
I would love to. I was talking with Deepak Chopra about this as well.
Yeah.
And I said, how does it all? Yeah, that we will never know, and we will never know that. Maybe when we get on the other side of this.
The veil, yeah.
Veil. Yeah. Thank you. We will understand it a little bit better, but
Yeah, I think so too. I think we come from somewhere and we go back to that place, and we're just here temporarily.
And that's also make me like crazy, because when I was watching this about the grace and Zeta Reticuli and the war in Orion and everything, and the peace now, and I was thinking, okay, but they are observing us, and then when we die, what happens when do they die? Do they,
Yeah,
and then I get like crazy.
I've always also been thinking about these things, because
I get crazy.
What difference does it make what does it matter what happens to humanity if it's just a temporary time that we're here in these vessels and these avatars, and then we die and we go somewhere else anyway? We can go anywhere from there. But I think maybe this is just pure speculation, of course, because I haven't had that level of awakening, so I know these things. But maybe we are, even when we're non-physical, after the veil has been lifted, and after we, as we call it, die, or before we are, as we call it, are born, we are associated with this planet anyway. Even in that state, we have an association with Earth, which means, and I've heard people talking about this. People
being recycled in this
channeling. So it's like our souls are on a trajectory where there's a lot of things to learn on this planet, and so we are associated mostly with this planet. So we are being reborn.
So we're stuck.
we're stuck
this.
here, but time doesn't exist anyway. So it's like everything is happening at once anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
But then you have people like Mattias De Stefano, who
I know.
Listening to, and he remembers having lives on other planets as well. I mean, he does remember especially one life in Chem, the Atlantean colony that is now Egypt, 13,000 years ago, but also a life on some water planet somewhere out in, I don't know if it was around Sirius or Arcturus, I can't remember. So that would then mean that we actually can be
but they are also plant. They plant. If I go back to this documentary, the interview that I saw with Tim, he's talking about the implants for that there are people from other alien people on this planet called starseeds. You heard the starseeds?
Yes.
And it's like between 300 and 500 million starseeds.
Exactly. And they've never been here before.
No.
They're just here to kickstart the ascension.
And then they have implants so that they are like smartwatches sort of, or GPS, so that they can check the status of them, and they can keep track on them and protect them. And a lot of them are not even aware of where they come from and why they are here. And so hopefully all of them will wake up. I like that there were so many, like 300 to 500 millions.
Yeah.
That's
hopeful.
Yeah.
And I don't think actually that humanity, that more than 50% of humanity has to awaken for things to start happening. I think it's like many also say that it's enough. It's sufficient with, I don't know, maybe a few percent.
Yeah. Like the 144,000.
Yeah, that's a number that often comes up. I guess it comes from ancient texts or the Bible or Hermetic texts. I don't know, but
a lot of things goes around.
It does. It does, and it all comes from the same source from the beginning. I think it's very mysterious. Speaking of that, I want to talk a little bit about the origins of humankind and the origins of civilization, because I know you're interested in that too. It all goes together.
Yeah,
it's about the
That's
evolution.
very interesting.
It is, and you recently went to Göbekli Tepe in Turkey.
Yeah,
and you've been to Egypt, have you?
Yes.
And you've been to Peru, I know that.
Yeah.
So you've been to many of these fascinating megalithic sites, and I'm very interested in that. So tell us about, or tell me, or tell the audience about your latest visit to Göbekli Tepe. What did you see? How did you interpret what you saw?
Yeah, it was really very interesting because I met the boss of the archaeologists, Necmi Karul, for this Taş Tepeler project, where you have Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe. And then I met Lee Clare. He's responsible for Göbekli Tepe at the moment, and Necmi is more at Karahan Tepe. And then I also talked to Andrew Collins, who's written a lot of books in this.
Yeah, he's been on my podcast. On this podcast.
Yeah, of course he has.
A couple of years now since he was here,
and so it's been very interesting, and it's obvious. What I like with Necmi Karul is that he's a little bit more open-minded. You can also see him in that series that Hancock did on Netflix.
Ancient Apocalypse.
Yeah. So when they are in Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe, Necmi is actually in the series, in that episode.
So he's open to these alternative.
No, I don't know if he's totally open, but he's open enough to say yes to be in an episode, and I think that was very good of him. This Lee, he's not as open, I think. So they are different, But it's interesting to see all the different theories and all the mostly men are arguing, about, because they have some urging need to have the right answer to everything. So
classic masculine energy.
Yeah, typical.
But it's not as spectacular as, for instance, the Giza Plateau and the pyramids and all that, obviously. But
but it says something about the ancient cultures, the hunter-gatherers, that they were so much more developed than we thought. I've also seen documentaries about the Neanderthals, and they were also much more,
Advanced.
advanced than we thought.
Yeah.
And you also have the cave in Siberia where they found
Denisovans.
Yes. Also, you find pearls and things.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot we don't know. And where they did get the knowledge from, I don't know. But, maybe they had contact with the other species in the universe in another way. I know that the Ebens have been visiting for thousands of years. And so there's a lot we don't know.
Yeah, and then there are all these ancient texts and ancient legends and myths about what was called then gods, big entities, creatures. I mean, not human beings, but like walking on two legs and all that, but very powerful entities that have visited here and conveyed a lot of knowledge and wisdom and free energy and all sorts of stuff. They are describing something that happened.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you can interpret it in different ways, but it's not. I think it's terrible to just dismiss him as nothing.
Yeah, that's very,
And also even the Bible contains a lot of fascinating stories. Or
Daniken has written a lot about this.
I know, he's also been on my show.
Have you had Daniken on your show?
Yeah, he's still going strong. It's fascinating. What is he now, 88 years old? He's still doing this. He's going to Egypt all the time. And so anyway, maybe we should
we have to open up our minds more.
Yeah.
We have to do that, and because that will help us a lot, I think.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. And we have to do this again, of course.
Yes, because, all the time.
I mean, there are so many more questions. There's so much more to talk about. But if people who are listening now are curious about you and your work and what you do, where can they go? Where can they find more information and your podcast?
Well, my podcast, Så in i själen, of course. But most of the information, I have a homepage, but it's more like a business card, sort of, where you can find me.
But from there, you can
find me on social media, and I put a lot of information there on this YouTube channel and things like that. So
put the links in the show notes, of course. Yeah, so Agneta, it's been wonderful talking to you today.
Wonderful to talk to you too, Anders Bolling.
And we'll do more stuff together, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Good luck with everything now.
Yeah, thank you so much. Same to you.
If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to hit that like button and share the video with your friends. Please support the channel if you can. I appreciate all the support. You can become a Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or you can make a one-off donation via PayPal if you wish. All the links are in the description box below. Thank you.